if you listen to the narrative that's become pretty common, it would be pretty easy to agree with the sentiment that right now is a terrible time to be a man in America. With the terms such as toxic masculinity and all of the things that the feminist movement has created to demonize everything male, men are under attack pretty much at every turn, and everything is men's fault. And to a large segment of the population, the MGTOW, the red pill community, a lot of men, a lot of men find themselves in a situation where what they have grown up believing to be right has been flipped inside out, and we don't seem to have any answers. And what I've seen over the past couple of years is a really divisive separation between men and women, to the point where it's borderline destructive. And I'm not really totally sure that we can pull back from the situation that we're in now. We may be have already reached a point of terminal velocity, and we're just going to have to see where this plays out. But in the meantime, I would like to challenge men to rethink the way that we're approaching this demonization and anti-male sentiment. One of the best things to experience when you're in any sort of combat situation or warfare is for your enemy to underestimate you and to believe that your capabilities are less than they are. If you've got a certain skill set and the enemy believes that you're worthless, you have a huge tactical advantage there. And so, the way I've looked at the way that things have unfolded, the narrative that a lot of people are full of shit, and there's a lot of things being said, and I agree with 99.999% of what men who find themselves disgruntled and discouraged. I understand that feeling. I understand that frustration. But I would like to propose that men take a more masculine stance toward this, if you will. Rather than seeing this as something terrible and detrimental to men, why not look at the advantages that you have now? If you look at the way that the sexual market has gone, when I was a young man, I'm almost 50 now. When I was younger, you had to actually have something going for you in order for a girl to give you what all boys and men want, which is ultimately sex. You had to at least have some game. It's conversation. And a little bit of period before that, women waited until after marriage to have sex. So where we've come from, considering the values that so many men are finding worthless today, those values came back from a time where things were drastically different than they are today. And we've held on to this concept and this belief system about our role and the woman's role. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, where men are left completely confused, because for all intents and purposes, what we have grown up believing was the frame of masculinity has become obsolete. There's no enemies at the gate. There's nobody that they need protection from. The feminist movement has done very well in getting women into the workplace. Now that I believe that they've taken men's place in the workplace, we know for sure that the majority of people in college are females now. And so men are checking out. Men and boys are checking out of the reality, because I really believe that they're starting to see what's the point. What's the point in going and getting all of this debt and these things that are really worthless? Because the thing that we were going out and getting educated for and getting jobs and buying homes and cars and trying to acquire nice things, it was to attract ultimately to attract a desirable mate. And the more you could provide and protect at certain points, the more desirable you were. But now, since the things have been flipped inside out, things are drastically different. And women, the market has been basically, it's flooded. And a man doesn't have to do anything but be at the right place at the right time, swipe right. And if the woman's lonely or desperate or whatever her justification is, it's almost as easy as ordering pizza to get sex today. And so the value of sex has plummeted. Therefore, the value of having a woman in your life is kind of plummeted as well. It's what's the point? I mean, realistically, if you're not needed for any other thing, what's the point? What's the point in investing your time, your heart, your energy in someone who, who for all intents and purposes doesn't need you? And so what I would encourage men to do today, instead of looking at this situation as, something that's terrible and, excuse the term, instead of being bitches about the situation, I say maybe take advantage of it. If women want to put men into a category of being worth nothing than pleasing them, then why would you be upset about that? That doesn't make any sense. That's ultimately what you've been striving for since you were a little boy, and you figured out what your penis was for. When you figured out how your dick worked, from that point forward, pretty much everything that you've done has been to try to up your ability or up the status of what what you could attract in your life. And so whenever you look at it and understand, this is the new narrative, and basically the collective thinks that you're not worth shit. Well, that, unless you aren't worth shit, that's being underestimated by an enemy, because you are still the prize in the end, because women are giving away the thing that they are to protect. I mean, it's pretty well understood and known that women are the gatekeepers of sex. Women get to determine who they are going to have sex with. Otherwise, it's rape if it works the other way around. A man's got to be willing, but the woman is the one who's got to give the nod. And men are the gatekeepers of relationships. So if you are worthless and she doesn't need you, but she's willing to give you the thing that is supposed to be valuable and cherished by her, if she's willing to give her treasure away to you without expecting treasure from you, why would you fight that? That seems kind of silly. You're arguing to be a slave. You're arguing to stay in a situation where men that are in the MGTOW movement and the red pill movement have kind of figured out what's the fucking point. And so when you're in these situations and you find yourself upset because Becky hooked up with Tyrone, and then you saw Chad on the new picture that she's put on her Instagram and whatnot, instead of being upset about that, understand that's just the way that it goes. And if you're gonna play in the trash, you're gonna deal with trashy people, and that's just the way that it goes. Wherever you hang out, wherever you shop, wherever you invest, that's what you're gonna get back. You're not gonna get a return. You're not gonna get a beautiful return on a shit investment. That's a fantasy. And so whenever you deal with these type of things, and you look at them, and instead of joining the club of men who want to cry and complain and look and point and go, look at, I told you this is what they're doing. We all, at this point, we pretty much know what they're doing. It's pretty obvious with the articles, and I mean, just experience. All you have to do is just talk to a group of men and ask the question, hey, has this ever happened? And once the first guy lets the ego down long enough to share, the story will almost repeat itself verbatim. And sometimes if the group is small enough, it'll be with the same Becky, because that's the way a lot of these chicks roll. They'll stay in a group of guys and fuck their way up that chain until they can go into another another tree completely. So I would argue that men, today take advantage of this, man. Take advantage of this "we don't need you" mentality, and men are worthless mentality. If as long as you don't believe that, as long as it's not true, and as long as you don't hold that view and that feeling about yourself, the enemy is basically, they're marking themselves. If a woman or a girl or whoever you're talking to, if these people speak like this, you know who they are. I mean, it is a beautiful fucking time to be a man to me, because I all I see is opportunity that once would have cost a lot of effort, a lot of it would have taken a lot to get what guys can get just with a smartphone and a little bit of time on an app. It's really, really, really not that hard. And for the guys who are find themselves incapable of doing this, there are certain things that maybe there are certain things that you need to address and look at about yourself. Because if you're, and this is just, this is my opinion. This is what I see a lot of. If you're a 2 or a 3 on the scale of men, which, I'm going to be really shallow here, but this is the way the world is. It's really fucking shallow. If you're a short guy that's, not very good looking and you're out of shape, but you're really good, you have great character and all this stuff that you feel is, puts you higher on the scale. Maybe you have a lot of money. A lot of these things, a lot of these markers, if you're physically unattractive, and you don't bode well in a group of men, that spread across the spectrum, the chances are pretty high that the app works just fine. The likelihood of you shopping outside of your ability to afford, that's what's most likely the case, because there's a little bit of everything on these sites, these websites, these dating apps, these hookup apps. They're not all 10s on there. But if you're going out here and you're seeking this form of connection, and you're shopping for women that are outside of your league, then of course you're gonna fail. A better option on that is just to swipe right on everybody and hope that you get some feedback. Because what I've seen a lot of guys do is they're going after women that are 7s, 8s, and these guys are low 2s on the scale of men. And if you're measuring yourself by metrics that are shallow metrics, like your money and your ability to buy stuff, you will be able to pick up some thoughts that are, after that money. It'll be a pretty direct engagement. But you also have to sell it pretty directly, because if you're out here trying to act like you want a relationship with a 10-piece, she's not going to want to waste the time, trying to play a game with you. But if you're just trying to buy something, a lot of those girls are ready and willing to keep secrets. They've got husbands, boyfriends, but they need a little extra cash so they can go find their Chad and Tyrone. So a lot of times you might fit that bill. But one of the keys, I believe, for men is just stay in your lane. You really have to stay in your lane. You cannot expect to shoot at these women that are being shot at by top tier men. That's the honest truth. There are guys that are in a realm of physicality that have the ability to make women forget who they're loyal to. And just with the idea, with the thought of that guy choosing them, and all of this is based off of it's just genetics. It's just the way people play out. And so what I would say is, instead of looking at this thing as, men are losing and all this, take a break, embrace the fact that the people that are making the most noise look at you as weak. They look at you as worthless. They think that they can do the job that you've been doing better, and they're entering into the force to prove so. And basically the narrative is, you just shut up and just be a dumb man. Roger that. Do it. But instead of being a dumb man, take this opportunity and unload the burden that was put on your back prior to this movement to try to facilitate being a good man. That's a heavy burden to have to provide and protect and to do all these things for a collective that obviously weren't impressed or appreciative of what was going on. So instead of being jacked about it and being pissed off and carrying your torch, get together with a group of men that are going forward, that are trying to build something positive in their lives and redefine what manhood means, not to women, but to men. What the old paradigm is broken, and it's been broken for a long time, and that's why we've gotten to where we are today. It's up to us as men to rewrite what the new one's going to look like, to find out, to determine what men are going to be after the shit storm settles. It's up to men to be active and to build in the background while the hordes are tearing stuff down. So take advantage of this, guys. Take advantage of this opportunity to take a break from the previous bullshit paradigm of laying down your jacket, fighting off the demons, and taking care of someone who obviously didn't appreciate what was going on. And do that. Concentrate on yourself. Make yourself the center point of your attention, and do the things that make you proud to see the man that you look at in the mirror. When you're able to do that, then you're a high value male. Only at that point can you consider yourself a high value male. What a lot of other guys are, a lot of coaches and whatever these guys, influencer and people want to have you do is group up and just be babies, cry about shit as a team. I say fuck that, man. I say unite as men, but build something. Every conversation can't be about what women are doing. That's how feminism got to the point where it is today, focusing on problems. Let's focus on ourselves. And right now, men have every opportunity, we have full ability to do exactly what it is that you've always wanted to do instead of what you've been expected to do. Everything is not a loss, guys. This is a win if you're looking at it right. Take a look at where you're at. Take a look at where you want to be, and then go get some.